Actually, sorry, I think we have a mic, just so everyone can hear.
It's a technical question. How did you shoot Mars?
How did we shoot Mars? Joe, I think that's one for you.
We found a location down in Devon, Bronson Borough, because it's the biggest sand dune. I think it's the biggest sand dune.
It's certainly one of the biggest in the country.
Yeah, and we kind of, it's the only place where in England you could get away with shooting something that looked like Mars, like that amount of sand.
It was really effective.
Thank you, yeah. And then it was all obviously coloured afterwards to give it the colour of Mars, but the actual location itself gave a great visual look.
Yeah, the scale was really, I think the clincher was the amount of, you know, it wasn't all close up and stuff, you know, you were doing some really long shots there, especially, I'm assuming it was you, when you were walking.
Yes, yeah.
And it just, the authenticity, you know, you weren't just looking at natural shots taken off the website, it was really good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cheers. Yeah, I thought it was a really lovely film, really nice heart to it.
Thank you.
I just thought, during the making of the film, I wanted, you know, if you guys came to any conclusions, if you thought you would accept a ticket to Mars.
Well, I think we could do that one by one. I mean, yes, I would love to go to Mars. I'd like to come back. I'm not sure a one-way trip would be for me.
Yes, the same. I really want to go to space and experience that, but I don't think a one-way trip. I would miss too much at home, I think.
I love the idea, but I don't know if I'd ever actually go. Actually leave the planet.
Yeah, I think, again, I love the idea of it, but I don't think my girlfriend
I found it quite frustrating that it took Faye so long to communicate with her family and everybody around her the truth, you know. I was itching for her to say something and she never did.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point. And it's one of those, Maddie and I wrote it together, so Maddie may have something to say about this. But I think we were quite conscious of we didn't want to make Faye a saint. You know, we wanted to make her fallible and that we could see where she was going wrong. And the communication issue is one of those things, I think. So I hope it wasn't too frustrating, but there needed to be this, I mean, you know, from a technical storytelling standpoint as well, there needed to be some kind of tension that we were waiting for something to happen. So that had to be taken into consideration. But we didn't want her husband to just be an outright baddie. You know, we wanted to be able to see when he said, you know, I'm not happy, and you're not making me happy, we could see actually perhaps where he's coming from as well.
Yeah, I think Faye is an observer. She's one of these people that sort of watches the world, and she's watched her life kind of just happen around her, and I think sometimes we can all maybe appreciate that sometimes happens sometimes you feel like you don't really know how you've ended up in a situation, and Faye feels like that. She's sort of just let life go by, and then all of a sudden she's where she is, and now she's like, no, I need to do something now, and it's taken her to that point to realise it, really.
One of the scenes that stood out to me was when Faye wanted to go to the bench to sit, and there was a homeless person sitting on it, and she had to go into the park behind it. It's like her place in the world had been taken, and she had to go into a new world. I'm just interested in how you come up with amazing arty scenes like this.
Well, thank you. I have to say, actually, Callum has a lot to do with that. Just as a note on Callum's role in the film, from a director's point of view, you can have as much vision as you want, but when you hand it over to the editor, and someone who's so invested in the story themselves, they come up with these interesting things that you haven't thought of, and they hit the notes and the beats, and Callum is what brings those moments to life. So.
Yeah, I think with that one it's a case of we have a common thing in editing, which is the rule of thirds, and it's common in jokes and stories and everything. There's this idea of you set up something, you show it to be true, and on the third attempt you show the opposite. And I think that's true with the bench. She constantly uses it a place of safety and sanctum, and then suddenly it's taken away from her just when she's doing negative things to the world around her, with the decision she makes to fire Theodore. So yeah, I think it is that whole, you're expecting something, but you get the opposite, or something you're not expecting.
Yeah.
And it was kind of useful for Faye, I suppose, because she's forced out of her comfort zone, at that point, she has to leave the bench, and then she goes over and lies down, and then she realises that she can see Mars and all the wonder of the world because she's been forced out of her comfort zone.
Yeah, it's pushing her closer to her final decision. Yeah.
Did you write the script before or after the real-world Mars One project for a one-way trip to Mars was launched?
Yeah, so it was definitely inspired by Mars One, and we heard about Mars One and everything they were doing. We were really excited by it. We were like, wow, a chance to go to Mars. That was something we were really interested in. You know, we'd like to do that. And then it started to come out, you know, people that had applied to go on the mission. And so certainly that was definitely
But without trying to make a film about the Mars One mission, it was really this sort of the question that Mars One, and for anybody who doesn't know what Mars One is, it's a real life mission where they're narrowing down. You can apply to go on this mission to Mars, and it's being funded by a Dutch entrepreneur. But the question that it raised for us was, who would want to do that? What kind of person and where would you be in your life? If that opportunity presented itself, who would be the person that would apply? So.
What do you think was in Faye's application, and how do you think that she will actually fare on Mars?
Good question. Callum, what do you reckon?
I was going to say, I think we had that scene, didn't we, where we heard a segment of her.
Oh, you're right, we did. Gosh, yeah, we did actually write.
What did she say? I can't remember.
I think it was similar to the narration. It was all of the points of feeling out like a tiny spider on a web, and all of these. So, yeah, it was one of those ones where I think in hearing it, it took away the magic of what she could have written. So,
yeah. I mean, it was to do with endeavour and taking a bold step and doing it for unselfish reasons. But yeah, we felt it was a bit on the nose, I think.
And I think Macmillan's meant to almost have that Willy Wonka effect of just knowing someone before he's even met them. So,
yeah.
The film was great, thank you.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, Faye's life somewhat seemed to be a little bit crap, so it was almost like it was easier for her to make the decision that she was going to go. Did you ever consider making a film from the viewpoint of someone's life that was actually really, really nice and perfect for their kids and everything?
It's a difficult balance, because if someone's life is too good, then it begs the question, why would they want to apply for a one-way mission?
It's a good question.
That's a really good question. I guess it comes down to drama, really, and conflict.
But we didn't want to make, her life is drab, but also with the colours that we used, the beautiful scenery at points, we didn't want to make her life too drab. She has Peter next door, the neighbour, and his lovely daughter as sort of there. So there is possibilities for her life. If she was to stay, she has this beautiful earth that she can live on, which is all there waiting for her. She could have had a life with Peter, potentially.
But equally, we did push her, because Peter was the red herring there, and then he lets her down in the end. So she's constantly being pushed. And actually that moment when she's on the bench, or there's a homeless person asleep on the bench and she can't sit there, all of these things are nudging her in that direction. But we did want to give, you're right, with the colour and the fact that she was at fault as well, this idea that life has the potential to be, because we think life on Earth is great. So we did, but we wanted there to be that possibility. That's...
Hi, hello. I had kind of 2 points. Well, one was a point and one was a question.
Yeah, sure.
The point really is a bit of a follow-on from the previous, actually. It seemed to me it wasn't actually so much a science film, but more a film about just following your dream or pursuing your dream, and the science thing is just kind of a happy coincidence for this.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Yeah, and actually we were at a screening in London when we were invited to apply to the British Science Festival. But what is interesting is, obviously, we had a strong interest in this subject as writers, but we wanted to make a film that was about change and opportunity, essentially, and the idea of reflecting on where you could make better choices in your life. For us, we felt that the concept of going to Mars was a really exciting way of telling that story. But what's nice is that we've had real positive engagement from the science community in it. Our first screening in America was at the Raw Science Film Festival, which is a great big festival that celebrates science in film. And it was a reaction that we weren't really expecting, but we're thrilled it has. And STEM organisations have got on board, because I hope what it does is not, we obviously don't bombard with science or anything like that, but I hope that young people, for example, will look at it and go, yeah, do you know what, that kind of thing's for me, without feeling, without overwhelming with the science.
I liked it. It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a sort of remark and a question. Krista McAuliffe was a teacher who went into space with the Challenger space shuttle mission, which exploded and lost her life in 1986. So she was a civilian and not a specialist, and NASA obviously thought she was going to bring something to the party. So it would be quite interesting to know what went behind that decision, I think.
The decision from NASA, or from her personal decision?
Yeah, both, all of that. I believe she had a family. She wasn't going on a one-way mission. That's rather different. I think the idea that you have to have specialists and technicians is clearly wrong. You don't.
I'm sure she was by the time she got into it.
No doubt. I mean, the thing is, in our film, obviously, we show her launching straight off into space. There would have been months of training that she would have gone through, of course. But from my understanding of that particular mission and the choice there was that there was an element of what we're talking about in going, space isn't just for the elite, it's for everybody, and everybody has something to offer. But I'm sure that she had qualities that NASA, could picked up on and went, okay, well, she's going to respond well to the training.
Absolutely, but she didn't have to necessarily be a sort of physicist or
No, absolutely.
Again, my understanding of it was that the space shuttle program at the time had become stale and boring to the average person. They were like, when am I going to get a seat on it? And so NASA went, well, how can we inspire kids and things like that? So they put a teacher up, and the idea was she would actually perform lessons while in the shuttle's science base to kids back on Earth. So, and of course it was a horrible disaster because of that as well, on top of everything else. But it was a case, and I think with our plot of having a billionaire who can send anyone they like, including themselves, why do you choose, that extra one person? What do they bring to the thing? And it is so that people at home will go, I want to connect, I want to know that person. I could be them.
Believable. I thought, that's what kind of crazy millionaires do. I just have one question, which is, it seemed to me that perhaps you were setting up for a sequel.
You're not the first person to have said that.
We never got the answer to the problematic relationship with the father and the daughter. That's sort of bothering
they're all going to turn up on Mars in the next movie.
I'm pleased to hear it.
Well, I really enjoyed the film. So is there a Kickstarter for your next project, or is there anywhere you can purchase this film to put some money towards?
Really frustratingly, at the moment, you can't purchase this film, which is why we're enjoying giving these screenings, because obviously we want the film to be seen. And also, we really value all of the feedback. So we do appreciate comments from both sides, because we're aware that we're at the beginning of our career, and we want to make better films. As far as so you can keep up to date with our release status. We've got all our details on the bottom of the poster there, but just Google us and we'll come up. The next film, we're currently polishing a second draft, and then we'll be packaging it. So in the new year is when we're going to be actively seeking, sort of finance. And there's a whole load of things that will go into that. We will be running a crowdfunding scheme. We did with this one. But crowdfunding is really tough, and justifiably so, because people don't part with their hard-earned money very easily. But we will be running one as much to publicise the making of the film as anything else. And then we'll also be, in the new year, there'll be trawling around film markets and having meetings with producers and sales agents and distribution companies, doing all of that. So I'm hoping it won't be too long. We plan to shoot the next film next summer, so do follow us, and we'll keep you up to date. So thank you.
This might just be really random, but some of the narration and the scenes with your daughter and different parts of it kind of reminded me a bit of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Is that any inspiration, or is it just because I like that film?
Well, not specifically, but yes, I very much like that film. You're not so keen on the film, so that when we write and when we make, everything is referenced. So there would have been an occasion where we would have said, this scene from this film is what I'm after here.
I do remember not directly ever mentioning Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but certainly when we came to the colouring and the look when we were shooting it, it was one of the ones where we were taking screenshots of that and it's going, what is it that makes that so impressive?
Yeah.
How do we recreate that on a tiny budget?
Wasn't some of the music as well, I think?
Possibly,
People said
that's true, yes, the
the
music.
soundtrack.
Yes, actually, that's very true.
So maybe
that's
that
what I
might-
thought.
Yeah, there's a bubble.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's it. Thank you all so much for coming. And I should say thank you very much to the Science Festival for having us, and enjoy the rest of the events we're going to.
This is your first effort.